Hello, this is Rubik's, and today I'm going to be continuing my story, Gamer's Guide to Ever After. As always, the previous recordings will be in the description below, and yeah, let's get right into it. Chapter 4, Humpty Dumpty Inside of the Walls. Inevitably, their father sealed off that door the following morning, claiming that it brought back too many bad memories of blank. In their eyes, now we finally switch over to Aster's perspective. Um, and yeah, here's their eye banner for him. Huh? My turn already? Well, it's about fucking time. It took Aster months to finally manifest the courage to return to that room after everything they witnessed, and going back begins to play. So then, why the hell would they want to travel back to the source of their trauma? This room resembled something far greater than a mere bedroom. The Joy-Con siblings were practically born here. Given that their good-for-nothing brother had been mulling over how drastic the kingdom was changing, it was up to their brave, smart, talented, and iconic sister, Aster, to bring them back so they could reconcile with the place of their origin. And again, what better way to lighten the mood than to snoop through Connie's old belongings? Who knows? Maybe they could learn something new about her that they couldn't possibly have uncovered otherwise. At present, the Tweedledee and Dumb duo were in the middle of trying to breach this room using the magic lock their uncle lent them. Earlier that morning, Aster was launched across the hall when their paintbrush grazed the door in a fruitless effort to create a hatchet. Swamped with tears, the brother rushed for help until they ran into those two trainees, Zeno and Joan. The Guardians rushed to their aid and brought the little hibiscus to the infirmary as their panic became a thing of the past. Are you sure you don't need to lay down and, I don't know, rest? What if you have permanent brain damage? Commented their lovable idiot Glitch. If I did have permanent brain damage, I'd already be in bed, Aster retorts. At present, they had a bag full of misted ice numbing the bump on their head. Please, just open it. A few seconds later, yo, I got it, Glitch exclaimed. Should we put a door holder here or something? We'll worry about that later. Okay. As the siblings tiptoed inside, their eyes began to glimmer as they drank in this time machine of a room. In the center was a chugging train making trips around the room in a never-ending loop, and it was something Mom made for them to ride on whenever they drank one of her signature shrink potions. In another corner hung this weirdly elegant birdcage, and the reader would then see this graphic. It's empty as you remember it. As her hungry eyes whisked from left to right, you noticed how the ceiling was filled to the brim with those hanging vines your mother loved, infinitely adorned with red and blue hibiscus. Books and crumpled pieces of paper scattered about the room, anomalies positioned in every corner and shelf. Even the dust bunnies were playing hopscotch with the spiders. Aster could feel their hearts skip a beat as their eyes locked with each memory-born trinket, each glance, never able to capture the full extent of how nostalgic they were feeling. Though the Joy-Con siblings possessed ever-faint memories of this room, neither of them could possibly forget how harmonious the atmosphere felt, comparable to stepping inside an entirely different realm. Holding their breath, Aster's eyes became interlocked with the centerpiece of the wall over yonder. And the reader would then see this graphic. A torn portrait of her. So much for bad memories. Meanwhile, Glitch's attention became hooked to whatever floating anomalies were aligned against the shelves on the right. Accounting for the fact that they could move, Aster strode along the carpet until their gaze softened at the sight of that sun-basked study desk. Without thinking, their hands soared over a stack of papers as they smeared the dust from side to side, causing them to cough their lungs out. I should have painted myself a duster, Aster reflects. Holding the page from the very tip like they were afraid a centipede was going to crawl out, Aster lets the sunset bathe upon it as they observe their mother's familiar handwriting, and the reader would then see this graphic. Holy mackerel! It's quantum physics, said nobody ever. Cringing, Esther places it back down as their eyes are glazed over this unfamiliar thick book. This time, they took precaution to paint themselves a feather duster before finally opening. Yo ass, look what I found, their brother exclaimed. Glancing over their shoulder, it was simply a floating Rubik's Cube affixed over Glitch's palm. They proceeded to move the side of it as it began twisting and turning, almost like it was trying to figure itself out. Esther spectates the anomaly from a lower angle, trying to decipher the meaning behind it. What's the point of having a Rubik's Cube if it's gonna solve itself? This evokes a chuckle out of their brother. That definitely sounds like something Mom would make. They spin around and pace off into another corner of the room. Esther notes the giddiness in their brother's step, glad that this room was taking their mind off things somewhat. Proceedingly, Esther withdrew back to the desk and swung open a dusty book after tenderly feathering it to death and took a gander. The longer you flip through this book, you soon realize that it's completely empty. Enrapturing their gaze, a small, white, and fuzzy creature with wings scampers along the page. What a curious creature, the blue Joy-Con thinks. Esther allows it to crawl upon their fingers and giggled from its tiny yet ticklish feelers. A reader would then see this graphic. You obtained a butterfly-eating silk moth. For some reason, this unique variant is equipped with a mouth. It must have led a terribly longer existence than its non-mouth variants that usually die within a week. The longer you stare into its beady black compound eyes, you couldn't help but feel like it was trying to ask you something. And if the reader were to highlight this text, do you remember what you're looking for? The silk moth crawls along Aster's arms. The silk moth crawls along Aster's arm before fluttering into their hair. As Aster begins to reach for it, they capture a glimpse of their reflection in the window. Notice how it morphs from a silk moth into a blue and red bow with a pokeball in the center. Cool beans. Look what I found, their brother's voice beams. Whirling around, Aster studies the anomaly inhabiting Glitch's palm, and the reader would then see this graphic. A tiny violin. You wonder if an insect the size of this stringed instrument could play it. Esther couldn't help but burst out laughing at the very sight of it. Stars above! Now why in Paradisa will Mom make that? Glitch flashes their teeth. Don't know. Uncle always used to say our mom had a knack for useless inventions. Something above Aster catches their brother's eye, as they remark, "Oh yo, sick bow." But before Aster could brag about it, their brother did a full 180, until their foot stumbled upon an object lying on the floor. Tilting their head, Glitch kneels over to scoop it up and queries, "Hey, what's this egg carton doing here?" And it's not just any egg will begin to play. Cautious not to step on anything fragile, Aster scans over their brother's shoulder and murmurs, "What a carton." Their brother began opening the carton as their eyes happened upon 2 singular white eggs propped with accessories. The other 10 seemed to be missing. Waltzing around Glitch, Aster leans over to survey the egg with a propeller hat, and the reader would then see this graphic. It seems ecstatic to meet you. 187 cholesterol. Egg clipped with a propeller hat for maximum mobility. As Glitch scoops it up from underneath and cradles it in their palm, a faint aura glimmers within the egg as it ascends for the air and spun around backwards, almost like it was doing a slow-motion backflip. And as it descends timelessly into the red Joy-Con's palms, out sprout 2 little black legs. Whoa! The siblings cry out in unison. And abruptly, the egg marches right off their brother's palm, as a desperate yelp escapes their throat. In the nick of time, Aster reaches out in time, only for it to crack open upon contact. The fragmented shell pops open as the yolk bleeds into their shaking hands. Aster becomes unable to move as their brother fiddles a lonesome tune out of the harmonica they conveniently had for some reason. Aster hesitates a moment before turning their attention back to the carton. This time, they find an egg wearing overalls. Gently, they lift it out, murmuring, "Sorry, little one, your sibling might have met an unfortunate end." The reader would then see this graphic. Here we go again. 99% yolk guaranteed. Egg equipped with overalls for 10% dirt resistance. And the egg with overalls conducts the same performance. The siblings praise the egg for its slow-mo backflip, and as the egg rises to its stick-legged feet, anticipating its demise, Aster staggers the egg by shoving an index behind its overalls before it could step off. Aster utters disapprovingly. "Where do you think you're going, little man?" Digesting this information, it stomps around in its stick-like legs and squirms like it was pouting. Holy crap, this guy is so cute! Okay. And the one in overalls, Pablo's theme, begins to play. Aw, well, aren't you the cutest little man in Paradiso? Glitch remarks, before extending their index to stroke it. The egg willingly lets Glitch pet it, and this fucker catches the unrelenting deadpan and Aster's side-eye as their brother audaciously bragged. "What can I say? I've got that unspoken ruse towards eggs." Oh, for the love of... That isn't even how you use... Whatever, Aster frustratingly pondered. They instead rolled their eyes at Tweedledee's comments and delicately looped a finger under one of the egg straps. Moodily handing it over to their brother, Aster descends to the carpet to pick something up. With a light bounce in their step, they stroll over and playfully place a propeller cap atop the egg's head. Well, that's one way to pay tribute to the dead sibling, Aster morbidly thought. They presented a hand mirror in front of what they assumed to be the egg's face and asked with a grin, "What do you think? Looking mighty stargalicious, if I do say so myself." The egg hops up and down and turns to Aster approvingly. It bends its entire body forward like it was trying to nod, before it performs yet another slow-motion backflip. So talented, Aster exclaims, immediately getting over whatever rivalry was sparking between them and their brother over this egg, which was probably all in their head to begin with. Then, a digital light bulb manifests over Aster's head as they quietly withdraw from Glitch and the egg. They giddily announce over their shoulder, "Keep an eye on him while I try to make something." Doubt overcasts Glitch's eyes as they groan. "Oh, stars. What are you deviously plotting this time?" "You'll see." And a few more "you'll see" minutes later, in their eyes, we switch over to Glitch's perspective now. Wait, what? Alright, a gargantuan version of Aster announces while lowering themselves to the egg's line of sight and to tiny old Glitch. Last one to make it across the ultimate racecourse of doom is a rotten egg and has to do whatever the other person says. Tiny Glitch had their mouth gawked wide open. They couldn't wrap their head around whether they were dumbfounded by the fact that their sister somehow managed to assemble this killer-ass racecourse using whatever office supplies and trinkets they could get their hands on inside this cluttered room in under 10 minutes, or if it was the very idea of suggesting to race with an egg that was literally born a few minutes ago. Probably both. This comically large version of their sister slides off their gloves and declares, "Alright, gentlemen, I want to see a clean race. That means no sabotaging the other player." And in the sparkle text, the reader will see, "Damn!" The egg slumps its entire body, as if that was burning on its mind. Tiny Glitch wails like their voice was high off of helium. "Yo! Why am I the one racing instead of you?" At the time, Glitch ingested a shrink potion as they impatiently tapped their foot against the finish line. "You'll feel much better afterwards," Aster the giant hollers, before adding their signature word that really didn't make anything they said better. "Trust." Eyeing the course before them, They got into a stance of, I'm not about to become a rotten egg. 3. Aster begins, as Glitch glares at their opponent, the egg in overalls. 2. 1. Go! And one ultimate racecourse of doom, trademark, later, Glitch was whining their itty-bitty heart out, distraught at the fact that they lost to a flippin' egg. They were sprawled over a piece of paper, banging their fists, kicking their feet, and everything. As soon as Glitch got over their temper tantrum, they extended a small hand to the egg, before realizing that it didn't have any of those at all. Resorting to option 2, they decided to pat its propeller hat instead and praised, "Kudos to you, man. Christ, those spinning pencils of doom, trademark, really screwed me over." The egg responds with 2 hearty hops, followed by a slow-motion backflip, causing Glitch to chuckle. Undoubtedly, this is how the little egg expresses itself. Easing their feet back into their slides, Glitch hobbled towards the edge of the desk and jumped off. In the blink of an eye, their body expands back to the regular schmegular Glitch size as they release a panicked "wah!", barely maintaining their balance. They glanced back with a smile and dutifully declared, "As the victor of this fair match, I suppose it's fair that you declare your terms." Before realizing that the egg also couldn't speak, the egg's attention swerved around the desk before its Humpty Dumpty body became drawn to the spinning pencils of doom, trademark. This enigmatic, nameless egg, with a porcelain-like gleam, uses deliberate force to graze the obstacle as a writing utensil snaps off the rubber band holding it in place. Almost magically, the egg summoned an ethereal force, firmly clasping the pencil as it became suspended midair. It begins hobbling over the ramp of certain death, trademark, that was really just one empty book Glitch had earlier seen their sister engrossed in. The Joy-Con siblings' eyes radiated with innocence of childlike wonder as they observed every meticulous move of their tiny adventurer. The egg starts aggressively wiggling its legs while it tries to lift itself over the daunting 43 pages. And notice how this number is also highlighted. Poised and upright, it becomes to magnetize to the top left of the corner of the page and begins to etch out its message. "Hola, would you feed me avocado toast?" The siblings lock eyes, their expressions a tapestry of confusion, before Glitch shrugged their shoulders with nonchalance and got to work. One scrambled for avocado toast later. "Here's your avocado toast, little man," Glitch breathes, exhausted out of their mind. Arms folded, their sister jests. "Geez, you really went out of your way just to make an egg some toast." "Whatever it takes to make the little guy happy," Glitch replied, with a strained breath, about to visibly collapse. They bend to one knee and slide the avocado toast over the table. Sniffing the air, the Joy-Con siblings manage to catch a whiff of its faintly sweet aroma, and the reader would then see this graphic. You know that one saying that goes, "If you stare into the abyss stares back at you"? I suppose the saying also applies to this monstrosity you just created. The egg waddles its stickman legs over the toast and nods appreciatively. Invisibly so, the toast becomes suspended into the air. The siblings, with eyes wide and eyebrows raised in anticipation, eagerly wondered what the egg would do next. Then, one by one, the toast began to vanish in bite-sized pieces until there was nothing left but a couple of breadcrumbs. The egg remains motionless for several breathless moments, before backflipping even higher than last time. "Let's freaking go!" Glitch pogged, their zealous eyes locked with their sister. They shined a smile, one that was grateful to their sister that brought them here, just to cheer their idiot ass up. From that day forward, the Joy-Con siblings frequented that isolated hallway in the dead of night to reconvene with the little egg they became friends with. As seasons turned and their bond ran deeper than genetics, they considered the egg one of their kin. Though they never unveiled anything new about their mom, her influence never left the room with how inescapable it was for for the soul not to smile as soon as he stepped inside. Say, brother, what's up? What should we name the little egg? Glitch ponders this for a moment before replying. Pablo would go kinda hard. And back to present time. As the door creaks open, Glitch's cautious gaze pivots around the void-born laboratory. Pablo, ¿dónde estás, mi amor? No response, but your words definitely caused something inside the room to stir. Glitch opens the door a little wider. Then a sunken shadow from behind slithers past them and reforms into the shape of Loki, who strokes his chin to the side of those enigmatic anomalies luring in the dark. With a thunderous silence, a sinister bullet tears through his shoulder as it becomes one with the shadows. Gritting his teeth against the piercing pain, Loki grips his wounded shoulder, brandishing his scythe into the abyssal void. The siblings huddle quickly inside as Glitch calls out into the darkness. Hombrecito, is that you? And a figure from within lurks deep within the shadows. It slowly but surely enters the soft light illuminating from the entrance. A black boot is the first discernible thing that appears. Your body trembles with goosebumps, and guess who begins to play? Your frazzled gaze studies the silhouette as it marches closer and closer to you all. It was a tall, beefed up, and all the more intimidating figure. And the reader would then see this graphic. Those beady white eyes survey its menu from left to right, like it was ready to partake in this ever-convenient banquet. That sickening aura pulls you in as you try to run for your life. Your face twists with horror as you survey your sister's fearful eyes. They were probably thinking the same thing. And this isn't Pablo. Wait, no. You were more so curious as to whether or not you tasted divine. The three of you ready your weapons as this abysmal figure approaches. Except you didn't have a weapon, so you spend your last second alive in a dramatic pose. That large and tall silhouette is eventually replaced with a humongous egg in overalls, propped with a propeller hat. Never mind. False alarm. And the reader will then see this graphic. Psych, it's the little brother, Pablo. Always delighted to make your egg acquaintance. Pablo! The siblings cry as they rush in to hug the egg, and he's all grown up, begins to play. Loki spouts, wait, that's Pablo? This abrupt remark causes Pablo to step forward and face the tip of his silencer at Loki's head, followed by a red dot? Unsurprisingly, their sister does nothing to stop this. And Glitch rushes between them and hollers, Hey, suelta la pinche pistola, hombre, este es nuestro amigo. How many times do I gotta convince people that this weirdo probably doesn't mean harm to anybody? They thought frantically. The arm makes careful note of this and turns the safety switch of his gun on. He proceeds to blow the smoke out of his pipe, causing Glitch to reminisce upon that one time they sketched a face for the little brother. Aw, he just like me for real. And in their eyes, we switch back over to Aster. Makohine said it's my turn on the switch. No, the hell does she didn't, Glitch. Book to book, Pablo ventures over several piles of literature that act as stairs until he reaches a tall stool. He reaches his non-existent hand out for a quill and some ink, and scoots it closer to himself. Everyone closes in behind the curious egg as his quill burns with something to say. The three of them watched in wonder as the man of the hour pulled out a rather unique sketchbook from his inventory. And the reader would then see this graphic. Your eyes glimmered in recognition as you identified the sketchbook Pablo always uses to either communicate or whenever he felt like drawing. You and your brother always make sure to glue in more pages whenever the little guy's sketchbook reached its max. And... ugh. That's your brother's god-awful handwriting. You always asked why they wrote such a bizarre title, and they'd always reply with how Bob was always cooking up a storm inside that sketchbook. And if the reader were to highlight this... Sauce. The egg effortlessly flips through the sketchbook as it conjures a gust of wind, causing the propeller to whirl vibrantly. Esther managed to catch various glimpses of those adorable timekeepes Pablo drew over the years, as it becomes a flurry of colors flashing beyond what the eye can register unless you blinked. Finally, it stumbled upon an empty page and became poised. To the left was a page full of messages inscribed from the last meeting with Pablo, while the other was just completely empty. The egg dips its quill in some fresh ink as it takes off for the empty page on the right and inscribes the following. My bad for real. I was scared and hid from the loud alarm earlier. Also, feliz cumpleaños. The Joy-Con siblings light up as Aster exclaims, Aw, Pablo, don't worry. You did the right thing and hid, just like we taught you. Extending a hand, Glitch rubs the egg by its propeller cap and expresses with a grin. Thanks, little man. I bet they just ain't the same without you in it. Pablo nods his egg body to this comment and writes the following. So, who's the twink standing next to Glitch? And proceeds to gesture their quill at Loki. The look in that clueless buffoon's eye remains the same. Something told Aster that he had no clue what a twink was. This is Loki, their brother begins, a hint of redness swelling in their ears. He's an old childhood friend of ours. Holding their breath, Glitch squats to eye level with Pablo and whispers, Okay, my man, real talk. Tomorrow's the big day. We're gonna ride out of this dump, and you're coming with. Aster nods in affirmation and chimes, So, have you finished packing your things? Pablo mulls over this question before scribbling. Yeah, so about that. He seals the Crayola sketchbook shut and hops off the stool with it dragging along the floor. Pablo then props himself next to a hiking bag that looks like its zippers were holding on for dear life. Brow raised, Aster delicately notes, That's quite the haul you got there, Hombrecito. Are you sure the extra weight won't drag you down? The egg held itself high, like it was about to let out the most guttural sigh of its life. The zipper becomes undone as it starts typing all types of shit behind it, causing the three of them to bob and weave in different directions like they were planning avoid that object. He threw out a rubber chicken, an air horn, a glass slipper, a stack of dirt, a red cap that said Save America again, whatever that was, a whole shopping cart. Was that a cat? And then finally, a bazooka. Aster rushes up to catch the bazooka as its cold metallic surface catches them off guard. And they spin their gaze to Pablo with certainty in their eyes as they said, No, Pablo, keep the bazooka. Might need it later should we run into any dilemmas. Nodding, Pablo retrieves the bazooka from his sister's arms as he rambunctiously shoves it into his enigmatic backpack. Even after all that, it still managed to retain its shape, only this time, the front pouch looked less swole. And the reader will then see this graphic. Pablo used Pablo Ultra Supremo Dropkick trademark on backpack. It's super effective. Yeah. A sharp moo escaped its flaps. Whatever Pablo just did caused the entire thing to just deflate as he secured the straps over his non-existent shoulders. He then turns back to the party and nods giddily. And the reader will then see this graphic. Pablo has joined your party. All party members unlocked. Click here to claim your reward, and if the reader were to click on this, they would be taken to this funny looking number. I wonder what that's all about. Okay. Seems like he's ready. Loki mutters, still visibly confused at what the hell is going on. Itching the back of his head, he mulls. So, now that we've attained your, little brother, now what do we do? Deadpanning, Asta replies, we head back to our room, obviously. Perhaps furrowing, the dolt utters, okay then, tell me, how do you expect all of us to just make it back to your room without being spotted? This question catches both of the siblings off guard. Shit! They whisper in unison. After a minute or two of pacing around the room in search of inspo, Glitch finally snaps their fingers and says, Hey yes, do you remember that old shrink recipe Makohine taught us? And a couple minutes later, May Our Paths Never Cross Again begins to play. Here, you're going to put on these cool shades, not because you look cool with them. I mean, you do look pretty cool with shades, but in case somebody sees your orange eyes, if that's what you prefer. Glitch hovers a glass bottle close to their line of sight as it glints in the moonlight. Okay, we have enough mixture for tomorrow in case we need it. And the reader will then see this graphic. Mom's old shrink recipe. Glitch passes it on to Loki and bops her head. Well, bottoms up. Also, try not to drink at all. Loki eyes the bottle suspiciously, like he'd been handed a potion from the black market itself. And how much are we supposed to? 2 sips should be just fine, and Asta replies sharply. They kneel to Pablo's side and fix him a twin bottle composed of the same liquids. Extracting the cork, Loki begins to raise the cold glass to his lips and says, Okay, just try not to rock the crate too much while we're inside, please. Astor fixes him with a devilish grin, entertaining the idea. No promises, they lie, conscious of their little brother. As the two sip once, then twice, the siblings gather the bottles as Loki and Pablo idle there for a breathless second. Before shrinking to the size of a mouse, Astor descends to the carpet and positions their hand like a ramp for Pablo to climb on. His tiny boots graze their palm as Astor swivels their attention back to Glitch. And in the highlighted text, in the sparkle text, so the two of you were just sleeping on the job while there was an intruder, is that correct? Here's the little man now, Glitch taunts. They dangle their index over Loki's hair and rustle it all over as the marigold fills the enchanting blue air with his helium-born laughs. Esther's curious eyes align with the open door as they register 3 silhouettes idling in the hallway. And in the sparkle text, we didn't mean to, honest. Heart rate ascending, Asta places a firm hand on their brother's shoulder and shushes them. They fumble for the sketchbook and use it as a spellcasting focus. In an ethereal manner, the pages begin to flip as they conjure major image to replicate the illusion of a closed door on the outside. Those voices crescendo closer and closer to the door as their words become ever perceptible. I suppose it can't be helped. We stationed 2 deaf imbeciles in this area. And in the highlighted text, who said I was deaf? What happened to the magic veil Wrath placed upon this door? Crap, I forgot to add that detail, Astor thinks. And the ever-familiar sound of platinum plants itself in front of the voice. The, magic barrier wore off a few weeks ago, yeah. And the sparkle text, Joan, help me out here. And neither of you bothered to report it? This time, a feminine voice pitches into the conversation and insists, No, we investigated the inside and found no traces of an intruder. Did you, or were the two of you sleeping on the job while whoever snuck in here uplifted the seal? Esther ushers in Minnie Loki's attention by waving a hand. They point rigidly at their own eyes and fix their index in the direction of the voices. He points at his ear, forms an X with his fingers, and shrugs his shoulders. I don't know, as their mouths. And inside of their head, miracle magic does not work on deaf or blind people. Still unsure which supervisor Joan and Zeno are mingling with. I'm afraid we might have to take that risk. Without warning, Aster plucks Loki out of Glitch's hands as they provide a platform high enough for him to hypnotize their uninvited guest. We weren't. The aura just magically vanished while we were awake. Aster tiptoes closer to the illusion, ready for it to fade. Step aside so I can look. A hand begins to phase through the elusive door, causing it to dematerialize into an open one as the four of them idle there. Don't move, Loki hypnotizes. You're going to forget that this door was ever unsealed and report to your higher-ups that the intruder did not come to this floor. Then, you are going to briefly escort the Joy-Con siblings back to their room and refute anyone who questions you, under the guise that you were protecting them during the intrusion. And in the sparkle text, oh shit, great thinking, Loki. The Guardian's eyes become hued with orange as he registers these words carefully and recites, Joy-Con siblings, please come with me. You shouldn't be out of your room during an intrusion. Actually, Zeno proposes, could I escort them back to their room instead? Loki glances at the Joy-Con siblings, awaiting their orders as they bob their heads affirmatively. He glances back to the Guardian under his hypnosis and overrides his previous commands by instructing, change of plans. You're going to continue your investigation several floors below this one. Forget that you ever bothered to search this hallway. The Guardian's eyes become tinted with orange once more as he strides hastily out of their vicinity and into the elevator. Thereafter, the stainless steel embraces him as the elevator departs. Adjusting her brow, Joan begins, So, I guess this is goodbye? Glitch scratches the back of their hair before summoning their usual flair. Yeah, gotta catch a train tomorrow, you feel? She shares a brief smile with Glitch as it pivots to Aster. It was nice knowing the two of you. Perhaps one day, if fate allows, our paths are sure to cross again. And in the sparkle text, with everything you two have gone through, for your sakes, I sincerely hope we never have to meet again. Aster surveys their brother's side profile, half expecting them to be a rose-cheeked wreck, but there was something about their slight smile and the dip in their brows when they admitted, Yeah, I hope so too. It all had a hopelessness encompassing their voice. Joan squats over to Pablo and expresses, Once again, sorry if our conversations or my loud snoring kept you up at night. Not knowing how else should respond, the egg simply bounces on Aster's hand. The Joy-Con siblings retreat into Connie's old room one last time in search of that conspicuous crate they'd planned on pushing Loki and Pablo in. They plop the both of them inside, steal the case, and take off with Zeno towards the elevator. As the stainless steel beckons them to enter, they see Joan on the other side, waving an arm of farewell. The elevator's vibrations send tingles into their feet as there is a momentary silence shared between the three of them. Aster glances at their brother, who was staring off into the space like they were contemplating something. They bump their brother with their elbow and murmur, Hey now, there's plenty of fish in the sea other than just her, you know. Glitch's brow knits as they grin at their sister and ask, Again, who said I had a crush on Joan? A few more minutes later. At present, the Joy-Con siblings were walking adjacent to one another in the hallways, weaving their way past security as a few of them gave the siblings suspicious glares. before Xeno's presence solidified that, well, all was fine. On numerous occasions, they've had to reenact the excuse they'd concocted. Esther snuck a periodic glance at the crate that they were pushing, not wanting to conceive the idea of someone finding that the kingdom's fear and uncertainty lies inside of this box. Okay, Esther murmurs. I think we can escort ourselves from here. Thanks for your help, Zeno. Zeno surveys their lips and nods. It's been an absolute pleasure, Glitch and Esther. Please take care of yourselves, and please don't forget me or Joan. The siblings wrap him into a half hug, mouthing the words, "We'll never forget you," as Zeno traces his steps back to his post. Their footsteps become desperate as they know deep in their souls that their room was just around the corner. This is the home stretch. As they swerved the crate to the right, the two of them froze at the sight of a figure waltzing towards them. My, what brings you out here so late? Begins to play. My children, there you are. And the reader will then see this eye banner frame. You've encountered a wild beautifly. Glitch and Esther couldn't get away. Mother, Esther begins, much too afraid to make eye contact. What are you doing here? Crap, crap, crap. What does she want? Why is she here now, out of all times? Revere's eyes begin to shimmer with dismay as she replies. I should be asking you that, Cupcake. What brings the two of you out here, out and about at this hour? Without warning, she leans close to Glitch's ear and whispers, Don't you know there's a monster lurking about? From this point of view, Glitch looked like they got an intense shiver down their spine and became as stiff as a rock, not really knowing how to respond. Revere then retracts her head and surveys the magic cuffs binding the Joy-Con siblings' wrists. The sketch fakes for themselves earlier. Noting their silence, Revere resumes. Why the nervous look, dears? Can you imagine how worried I was when I discovered that neither of Paradiso's beloved Joy-Cons were in their room? We're sorry for worrying you, Mom, Glitch assures, with little reassurance in their tone. I suppose that's alright. We all make mistakes. Then Revere redirects her attention to the crate on wheels in front of them and asks, So, what goodies have you been risking your lives to obtain this time? Before Glitch or Esther could reply, she whips the box right open, only to see blue and red flowers, streamers, and an ensemble of different art supplies. And in the sparkle text, Phew, no marigold or Pablo in sight. Revere begins to raise her brow, intrigued and waiting for an explanation. Esther cautiously closes the lid and recites, We were out, scavenging the night market for art supplies since we wanted to prepare something special for the banquet tomorrow. But then we heard the alarm and hid inside of a room near the entrance. They could feel their eyes stretch out of their sockets as they yearned to flee as soon as possible. Attracting their strained eyes, they fixated over Cyrus, the guardian of this hallway. That's so, Revere responds. This time, both of the siblings held eye contact with their stepmother. Unexpectedly, Revere steps closer to Aster. She then whips her arm backwards and slaps Aster across the cheek, giving them a very visible hand mark. You should know better than anyone that all demi-blooms are prohibited from leaving their rooms past 10 p.m. Need I repeat myself, Starlight? Esther doesn't bother to massage her simmering cheek as they mutter, That won't be necessary, Mother. And in the sparkle text, Get out of our sight already, you witch. Revere then turns to Glitch and orders them to roll up their cuff and extend their wrist. She proceeds to slap it lightly, but hard enough to leave a red mark. Dearest me, always getting dragged into your sister's little antics. She steps out of the way, revealing a straightaway to their door. Alright then, don't stay up too late, children. It's already past 12 a.m. You wouldn't want to miss the only ceremony celebrating the 70th year since your mother's passing now, would you? Without waiting for either of them to reply, the clack of her heels trot elsewhere. The Joy-Con siblings hold their breaths, waiting for the ominous clack of their stepmother's heels to cease from earshot. Finally, they each make a mad dash past Cyrus for their room and push the crate inside like there was no tomorrow. Sealing the door shut, they exhaled, overcome with the most profound relief they had ever felt coursing through their souls. Immediately, Esther turns around and locks the door shut. They then sigh. Now, how the hell did we pull that off, brother? Relief, lovely and soft served, begins to play. No fucking clue, bro. Glitch exhaustingly emits. Promptly, they peer over the crates and hiss, Yo, the coast is clear! Their fingers curl beneath the lid as they push it open. Within seconds, Loki's fun-sized head emerges from the sea of confetti in a panting rage. His hair even more disheveled than Astra last recalled. There were also a couple of bad bruises emblazoned on his face. Next to extend his round head out was Pablo, his flawless shell left unscathed. Good work, Pablo, Astor thought, as they unconsciously spun his propeller cap. How'd they even manage to beat each other up, but also remain quiet? Glitch digs a hand through their pocket and dingles an intricate cookie over the box. Don't mind the weird flavor, they warn, as they snap the cookie in half and drop it in. And, in the sparkle text. It almost tastes like food coloring? A few moments later, the marigold and egg expand back to their original sizes. Suddenly, a daunting battle cry crescendos from one of their portraits as the figures of Nova and Meadow come bursting out of the Hawaii painting. Before anyone has time to register what in inferno was happening, Nova injects Loki with her pink taser and lights him up with electricity. He looks at this doohickey in Nova's hand, evidently immune to her attack. Her face succumbs to her signature "what the hell" face of distraught as she awkwardly laughs behind her gritted teeth. Then from behind, Meadow closes in on Loki and proceeds to whack him upside the head with a literal frying pan. This causes the shades Glitch sketched for Loki earlier to come flying off. So much for covering its eyes, Esther thought, completely indifferent to what was happening. Hey, stop! Loki winces, trying to block her attacks with his forearms, figuring that they should probably do something for once. Esther shouts at the top of their lungs, "Would you idiots stop trying to beat the lights out of Loki?" Then calmly states, "He's with us." Nova steps closer to Aster, taser in hand, and thrusts a finger at Loki. "Are you sure bro didn't hypnotize either of you into saying that?" Posing dramatically, Aster remarks, "Do you know who you're talking to?" "Me? I allow myself to get hypnotized by that weirdo over there." Nova clicks her tongue in response and says, fair point. And meanwhile, the room has been filled with the audible ring of Meadow's frying pan, each strike as relentless as the next. Ding, dong, ding, dong. Nova cranes her neck back to Miss Girl and scolds, "Jesus Christ, dude, chill. Didn't you hear as?" And as Meadow's frying pan became suspended in the air, there was this unrelenting rage conjoined with fear as her gloomy eyes became resaturated with color. She finally lowers her frying pan, becoming one with the realm's gravity. And the reader will then see this graphic. You might recognize it from the teaser. The gang's all here. Everyone held their breaths, too hesitant to move a muscle, until Glitch broke free from that trance and rushed to Loki's side. Infuriated, they cried, God fucking damn. Jeez Louise, Meadow, did you really have to hit him that hard? Is everything okay in there, Joy-Cons? A gruff, unorthodox voice Esther hasn't heard in a while enters the fray. Cyrus, their hallway guard, peeks into the room and spots all these diverse faces standing in complete and utter shock from what just happened. Pablo then flicks off his safety switch and points it at the guard. Okay. In the Sparkle text, what are Meadow and Mistress Nova still doing here? Conjuring a sort of formal authority in their voice, Aster commands, "Head back to your room, Cyrus. We're fine." This causes him to blink twice before he surveys the room once more. Eventually, his eyes happen upon the marigold, processing not only his orange eyes, but also the bareness of his wrists. Hey, aren't you the... Before he has time to finish, Loki commands with this little space between his words. Fall asleep and forget everything you just saw. The guard's muscles begin to give out as he collapses against the doorway, his armor clanking loudly. Okay. Esther begrudgingly groans under their breath. That is, until an idea crosses their mind. They turn back to Meadow and order, "Hey, would you give me a hand and, help me drag him back to his post?" Something's clearly wrong with her, Esther ponders. I'll get to the bottom of this myself, but first, let's get her some semi-fresh air so we can discuss this in private. Meadow awkwardly warms the side of her bare arm and nods. Descending to one knee, she bridal carries the unconscious guard back to his post as Esther holds the door wide open. In the corner of their eye, Esther catches wind of Nova beginning to scramble after her bodyguard before she held eye contact with Esther. The blue Joy-Con then mouths, "I've got this in the back. Trust me on this one." And in the Sparkle text, scratches head. Stepping aside, she lets Esther work their sisterly charm. And the reader will then see this graphic. Welcome to the cosmos. How did you wind up here, traveler? And yeah, that would take us to the end of this chapter. As usual, the recordings will be in the description. And yeah, thanks for joining, and I will hopefully catch you in the next one. Bye.